As much as The Legend of Zelda is about the trials of the hero, the treasures he finds, dungeons he explores, bosses he slays, it's also about a fantasy world, as series creator Shigeru Miyamoto envisioned, giving the players a miniature garden they could own and explore. And to me, nothing captures this feeling better than the towns of Zelda. Zelda Towns often have a unique charm, setting them apart from other video game settlements. So let's run through my 5 favourites, and explain what makes them so good. The Hyrule of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom is a wilderness. It is a world a century after the apocalypse, where the ruins of a broken kingdom are littered throughout a vast, untamed land. Tiny pockets of civilization remain, however, not just the stables, the travelling hubs of trade and community, but larger towns too. And of all of them, my favourite is nestled in the Necluda region, Hateno, a symbol of hope and endurance. By the time of Breath of the Wild, Hateno village is the largest Hylian settlement in Hyrule. All others, save for the small seaside village of Lurelin, were destroyed by Ganon's assault. Hateno was spared thanks to the victory at Fort Hateno, when, in a last stand, Link, Zelda and an army of soldiers stopped the Guardians from reaching Deep Necluda. Though this battle left the Hylian champion critically injured, leading to his internment in the Shrine of Resurrection, it secured the safety of many refugees fleeing central Hyrule, who took up residence in the village, where many of their descendants now live. Hateno village is a quaint collection of beige stone cottages. Many of the residents here are farmers, tending to the nearby fields and their livestock, in particular Hateno cows, whose milk is used to make Hateno cheese, a delicacy known throughout the kingdom. Aside from the residential buildings here are the Chief's House, the East Wind General Store, the Clothing Boutique, the Kochi Dye Shop, an inn, and, of course, the Hateno Ancient Tech Lab up on the hill, where Pura and her assistant Simon work to decipher the mysteries of Sheikah technology. To me, Hateno Village is the perfect example of the hardiness of humanity, that life goes on, even after tragedy. Its design, its theme music, its characters all work together to create a warmth that stands out all the more against Breath of the Wild's otherwise desolate landscape. This idea is central to Hateno. In fact, it's here that the efforts to rebuild Hyrule started. In the southwestern corner of the village, the houses are different. They're new, built out of colourful cubes. These are the work of the Bolson Construction Company, prefab houses designed to be built quickly and assembled with the help of a Goron. Just past these new builds, Link finds Bolson, Hudson and Carson, who are planning to demolish an abandoned house in the village, one which has apparently been empty for years, since the old owner went to report for service at the castle and never returned, heavily implying that this was Link's house 100 years ago, and that Hateno village was his hometown. This house can be purchased by Link as part of the Hylian homeowner quest, giving the player their own space to store gear from their adventures, and eventually to place the photograph from the Champion's Ballad DLC. This quest leads into From the Ground Up, perhaps Breath of the Wild's best side adventure, where Link helps Hudson in the construction of Tarry Town, a new settlement in Akala. Tears of the Kingdom reveals that, after the events of Breath of the Wild, Link and Zelda lived together in Link's house in Hateno village, and that Zelda also oversaw the construction of the Hateno School to begin to educate Hyrule's youth. Again, this shows how Hateno symbolises the resilience of the Hylians, and is at the heart of the efforts to rebuild what was lost during the calamity. Tears of the Kingdom also changes Hateno village with the introduction of Cece, a fashion designer with a particular love for mushrooms, and the mayoral election questline. a relatively lengthy affair which first involves learning secrets about Cece and Maya Reed, then interacting with many of the townsfolk to learn their affiliations too. As side quests in these Switch Zelda games go, the election questline ranks quite highly for me. It helps to make Hateno feel like a real place, full of real people. Overall, Hateno Village stands out to me as my favourite town in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and one of my favourites in the series as a whole. Not only is it heavily involved in many of these games' most important side quests, and deeply connected to the history of the Calamity Ganon and of the world itself, it's just incredibly charming too. More so than any of the other settlements in these new open-air Zelda games which deliberately forego so much of the series' classic formula and conventions, like Kakariko Village, Goron City or Tarrey Town, Hateno Village feels like a pocket of classic Zelda. In a time before the Kingdom of Hyrule was founded, the goddess Hylia fought against the Demon King Demise. Before the final battle, to ensure her people's safety, she sent a chunk of land into the heavens, including the statue of the goddess that lay behind her temple of Hylia. Thousands of years later, by the time of Skyward Sword, this land remains far above the clouds, and on it lies the floating town of Skyloft. The game begins in the Skyloft Knights Academy, a school where Link is a young initiate. Link, together with his classmates, including Zelda and Groose, celebrates the school's 25th anniversary, with a ceremony steeped in mythology regarding the goddess Hylia and the relationships between Skyloftians and their companion animals, the Loftwings. The ceremony takes place at the statue of the goddess Hylia, the island's most important landmark, which is surrounded by the broken ruins of the parts of the Temple of Hylia it took with it when it ascended to the heavens. This is the section of Skyloft that drops back to the surface at the very end of the game, making the temple whole again. Skyloft is the only town in Skyward Sword, and so functions as something of an anchor point for the structure of the entire game. It's where the adventure begins, and it serves as a hub Link returns to after each section of the main quest. But despite that, Skyloft doesn't feel video gamey at all. The majority of its side quests are wrapped in enough narrative that they feel like you're helping real people, and the island itself is designed in a way that it very quickly feels like home. As you'd expect, Skyloft is one of Zelda's largest towns, with a residential district where the homes of Skyloftians who don't live in the Knights Academy are found. Each of these houses are, of course, explorable, and although Skyward Sword lacks a true day and night cycle, and Link needs to sleep to switch between the two, the characters here will all be doing different activities depending on the time of day. In the middle of the island is the Bazaar, a giant tent covering a small shopping district where Link can trade for items useful to his adventure. The Bazaar is full of wonderful little touches, like how the theme music changes with different instruments depending on which shop you're close to. In fact, the music of Skyloft in general is one of the best themes in the entire series. Comfortable, light and airy, as you'd expect for a floating town. Skyloft is an example of one of my all-time favourite tropes in fantasy stories, in that it is a homely, peaceful and exceptionally beautiful place, one that the main character is comfortable with, that reveals ancient secrets. As Patrick Rothfuss writes in The Name of the Wind, there's nothing quite so delightfully mysterious as a secret in your own backyard. Near the end of the game, Link discovers that the final dungeon, Sky Keep, is hidden within Skyloft, built into the chunk of rock atop which the goddess statue sits. Overall, I think that Skyloft could have very easily fallen into the trap of being too much of a hub world, focused on practicality and game progression. But while it achieves that, it's so much more. It's clear how much care and effort went into designing this place, and to me, it stands out as one of the most charming, comfortable, and beautiful places in gaming. The Wind Waker takes place centuries after the Great Flood, when the goddesses intervened to drown Hyrule beneath a new ocean. The castle itself rests on the seabed, and what were once the kingdom's mountaintops are now islands, home to the descendants of Hylians who have forgotten their past. While the game begins on Outset Island, one of the most relaxing, warm places in the Zelda series, it's the second town Link visits that stands out: Windfall Island. Windfall's name has multiple meanings. It references both the town's iconic windmill and a financial windfall, as it is a merchant town. Link first arrives here after being thrown into the sea from the Forsaken Fortress. He's rescued by the King of Red Lions and taken to a small cave on the north side of the island. The King of Red Lions explains that it doesn't have a sail, that it has taken Link here to find one. This is one of the best introductions to a town in the entire series. The game gives the player an objective and trusts them to explore the island enough to complete it. Link eventually finds a sail in the possession of Zunari, a travelling salesman, allowing him to travel to the nearby Dragon Roost Island. But he isn't done with Windfall Island. It's a place he returns to multiple times throughout his adventure. Found within Windfall's corkscrew-shaped main street is the potion shop, auction house, cafe, pictograph shop, school, game room, and jail, as well as multiple residential houses, while outside of the town walls proper lies the bomb shop, on the southeast side of the island. Time in the Wind Waker stops when on Major Island, including Windfall, so like Skyloft, the characters have set locations and actions depending on whether it is day or night, which can be changed with the Song of Passing, learned on the island. While this isn't as immersive as the true day and night cycles in Hateno Village, the quality of the characters themselves more than makes up for it. Windfall is packed with some of the most charming faces in the Zelda series. Particular highlights for me are the Killer Bees, a gang of children who terrorize their teacher, Mrs. Marie, but secretly respect and admire her, asking Link to find them joy pendants to give for her birthday. Camo, a stargazer who finds himself heartbroken when his childhood crush finds someone else, and, of course, Tingle, who's suspiciously found in the town's jail. Windfall is also notable for showing the impact of Ganondorf's plot to find Zelda, by kidnapping young girls with pointed ears. This, of course, is why Link's sister Hyrule is taken, kickstarting the whole adventure, but girls were taken from Windfall Island too, Mila and Maggie. Maggie was from a poor family, and Mila from a very wealthy one, but after their kidnapping and subsequent rescue, their fortunes switch. Maggie returned from the Forsaken Fortress with skull necklaces, which her father then sold for vast wealth, while Mila's father spent their family money in hopes of having his daughter rescued, resulting in Mila sneaking around as a thief at night. While there are certainly aspects of both Hateno Village and Skyloft that are better than Windfall Island, I prefer it overall. It perfectly captures the Wind Waker's tone. It's cartoonish and light-hearted on the surface, but hides deeper tones of loss, change, and resilience just beneath. Windfall feels like a real community, and is one that the player grows more attached to each time they return. The Minish Cap is my favourite top-down 2D Zelda game. It's so beautifully presented, a fairy tale adventure set in one of the brightest, most whimsical depictions of Hyrule in the series. And a huge reason for my love for this game is its main settlement, the central hub of Hyrule Town. Link first visits Hyrule Town alongside his childhood friend Zelda during the Picori Festival, an annual celebration of the relationship between Hylians and the Minish, a fairy-like, minuscule people who helped a hero defeat evil long ago. After the events of the story kick off, with Vati breaking the Picori blade and opening the bound chest, Hyrule Town becomes the anchor point of the entire game, much like Skyloft earlier on this list. Hyrule Town features a post office, library, school, inn, bakery, cafe, swordsman school, multiple minigames, and the figurine gallery, where Link can trade in mysterious shells for a chance to unlock miniatures of the game's characters and enemies. Not only is Hyrule Town considerably larger than any other 2D Zelda town, with more buildings, characters, and secrets, it's so vibrant and so charming that I love spending time here. Even if I'm not actively pursuing quests, just talking to people and exploring. Like much of the Minish Cap's world, Hyrule Town benefits from the Kinstone mechanic, where Link collects halves of these mysterious talismans and must interact with characters to fuse with stones from their collection. Not only does this force the player to seek out and interact with almost every character in this town at some point, the rewards for fusing often unlock new areas or events in the town itself. Secret entrances open up, or characters have sudden ideas that spur them into action. As the player collects and fuses more kinstones, Hyrule Town evolves. What truly elevates Hyrule Town above nearly every other settlement in the series for me, however, is the game's main mechanic, Link's ability to shrink down to the size of a Picori. Hyrule Town is full of Minish portals, allowing different sections to be explored in miniature at different points throughout the game. While shrunk, Link can climb into roofs or enter mouse holes in the skirting boards to meet with the Minish who have made their homes there. He discovers entire mini-dungeons in the sewer networks, houses hiding in the overgrowth, and the Minish Elder Library in his home carved into a bookshelf. Not only does Link's ability to shrink add so much more to this town, it completely changes how the player interacts with it as a whole, letting them connect with it on a level that isn't usually possible in this classic top-down style. It's also worth noting that, as a Minish, Link is able to talk with animals, of which there are quite a few dotted around Hyrule Town. Birds sitting near chimneys, cats on walls, and dogs in the streets. Of course, the Minish mechanic is beneficial to the Minish Cap as a whole, but I think that Hyrule Town showcases it better than perhaps anywhere else. Part of the magic of the Minish is that they coexist with Hylians, how they live in secret in all the nooks and crannies the big folk ignore. In this light, Hyrule Town is, in essence, two towns in two sizes. The Minish mechanic adds a level of depth that elevates it above almost anything else. Despite being in a 2D game, the Minish Cap's Hyrule Town is better than all except one other. After Link falls into the mysterious world of Termina, just as Alice fell into Wonderland, he finds himself in the bowels of the Clock Tower, the defining landmark of Clock Town. Clock Town isn't just the central hub of Majora's Mask, Clock Town is Majora's Mask. So much of this game's depth, its magic, comes from its main settlement, a place which, 25 years later, is still the best town in any video game I've ever played. Just as the Minish Cap's Hyrule Town serves as a perfect showcase of the game's main mechanics, Clock Town is where Majora's Mask's main mechanic, the 3-day time loop, is at its best. Of course, the game's central premise is that Link has 3 days in which to save Termina. At the end of the 3rd day, the moon will fall, destroying the land and everybody in it. By playing the Song of Time, however, he can rewind to the dawn of the 1st day, allowing him to live these 3 days over and over until he can save the world. Majora's Mask's characters exist on their own schedules. They follow the same routes and perform the same actions at the same times every cycle, unless Link interacts with them in such a way that he alters them. This gives the player the opportunity to learn the behaviours of the people in this world, what they do, who they interact with, what secrets they might be hiding, and ultimately how to help them. Clocktown itself is divided into 4 main districts: North, South, East and West Clocktown, all surrounding the central clock tower. It's one of the largest and most detailed settlements in the Zelda series. There's the Stockpot Inn, the Mayor's Office, the Milk Bar, Trading Post, Curiosity Shop, Bomb Shop, the Swordsman's School, a post office, and multiple minigame shops. Clocktown's designer, Hiromasa Shikata, said that we created a complicated area so players would feel uneasy and uncomfortable, like they're in a strange town in a foreign country, carrying the sense of uncertainty that comes with that sort of situation. And that feeling certainly comes across during your first few days here. Like with Windfall Island, Clocktown is introduced in such a way that it forces the player to explore it. Link can't leave while stuck in his Deku Link form, so must wait out the 3 days to confront the Skull Kid. But the longer you spend here, the less uncertain you feel. The characters, who at first seemed strange, are now familiar, predictable, once Link has observed their patterns. It's a strange perspective from which to view their lives. Link is a time traveler, able to gain such intimate knowledge of these people, despite them never truly understanding who he is, or the, frankly, godlike powers he holds. The magic of Clocktown isn't just the characters themselves and the schedules they adhere to, but the way they interact with one another. The postman, for example, will always collect Cafe's letter on the morning of the first day before delivering it to Anju in the Stockpot Inn that afternoon. Gorman visits the mayor's office on the morning of the first day, where he learns from Madame Aroma that they intend to cancel the Carnival of Time, so he spends the rest of his time drowning his sorrows in the milk bar. But it's not just the characters that change across the 3 days. Clocktown itself does too. On the first day, the town is bustling with people preparing for the Carnival of Time, 3 days from now. The music is whimsical, bright, and full of energy. Many people believe that the moon falling is just a rumour, if they've even noticed it at all. On the second day, however, it rains in Clocktown. There are fewer people on the streets, and a growing sense of unease. The moon is closer than it was yesterday. The music is more uncertain. On the third day, the moon looms large in the sky above. The streets are almost empty. Most have fled or are fleeing the doomed town. The music is chaotic, frenzied, fraught with the same panic that grips the townsfolk. To me, Clocktown is the greatest example of a Legend of Zelda town, a living, breathing place, full of a collection of the series' best characters. It's genuinely unbelievable that Majora's Mask was designed in a year, and this was the result. I'd love to see something of this quality and depth in the series' future, though a large reason for Clocktown's excellence is the time loop mechanic. While another town on this list, Hateno Village, features detailed schedules for its characters, it's not the same without the time loop. In Clocktown, the characters don't just do the same things every day because that's how they live, it's because those are the actions they take on these particular days. Letting Link learn the reasons for these actions and how he can influence them is what elevates this setting above any other. But what do you think? What are your favourite Zelda town? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like, or subscribe if you haven't already for more Zelda content. Cheers guys, and I'll see you next time.